Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Rogue State. This is a game designed by Mike Molyneux and published by Tiny Battle Publishing. This is a Ziploc game, so there is no back of the box, but I will read to you the overview of what this game is all about. It says Rogue State is a solitaire geopolitical conflict simulation where the player assumes the role of the supreme leader of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea immediately after the end of the Korean War. Your primary objective will be for your regime to survive from 1953 through the year 2030. Your secondary objective will be to maximize adherence to the Juche ideology by progressively achieving national self-reliance and global influence. Juche points are earned by advancing your nation's military strength, industrial production, nuclear weapons development, and assertively responding to events while minimizing lingering foreign debt. Victory over your imperialist oppressors will require you to carefully manage scarce resources, strategically evaluate risk, and develop a keen awareness of the interaction between the world situation and your decisions. Each turn represents approximately 7 years on the timeline of the DPRK. As Supreme Leader of North Korea, you will be responsible for managing the state budget to strategically emphasize critical initiatives, building heavy production capacity to fuel your nation's economy, investing in infrastructure, agriculture, and your military, maintaining diplomatic relations with your national allies, intimidating and purging members of your cabinet to motivate performance and discourage sedition, managing risks associated with world events and critical threats such as revolution, coups, and foreign military action, negotiating for foreign technology to build your nuclear weapons program, threatening and extorting your imperialist enemies with threats of nuclear force, and, if necessary, ordering a preemptive nuclear strike on the West and its puppet allies. Do you have what it takes to lead your nation to power and prosperity? So we'll take a look at our components here. We have our 12-sided die. We have our event cards, our rulebook, our counters, player aid, and our map. So let's set up the map, take a closer look at the game. And here's a look at the map that comes with the game. In this instance, I think the use of the term map is quite the misnomer. This looks more like the control panel of an Apollo spacecraft with all the switches and buttons to press, everything you'd expect to run a complex piece of machinery, which is very fitting in this case because running a nation state is a complex piece of machinery itself. And it's got that industrialist look that you'd expect from a communist nation, that low-tech kind of feel that is associated with the DPRK, and especially being that you're starting off in 1953 and you're going all the way through to 2030. But it does have all of the information that you'll need to run all aspects of your government. You've got your current tracks, your military, social, economic, critical events, industrial production, and then you have your circulation and revenue with Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. Down here, the two pictures of the first supreme leaders of the DPRK, which you are a descendant of in this game. And when I first looked at it, I thought it was a little busy. And then upon second look, I saw how everything was broken down in a nice logical flow. And I think it is very fitting for the game. Now we'll take a look at the counters that come with the game. These are the resource counters. And then we have our event and tracking counters on the second counter sheet. And the player aid that comes with the game is a turn summary, and it breaks down every step that you'll be taking for each turn in the game. And we'll take a look at the event cards that come with the game. I'm showing you the backs of the cards first because there are three distinct eras. First, second, and third era in the game. And these will be, the cards will be broken down by era and then shuffled into three separate decks. And we'll take a look at the event cards. This gives you the event that takes place when you draw the card. The bottom middle marker here, this tells you your export marker where it goes. In this instance, moves to the left. In this instance, it moves to the right. And in this final card, it's going to stay where it is currently. On the bottom right corner, this tells you how the card is going to be handled. You can either use or discard with the left-right arrows. This one means that you can save it for a later turn. And this is a recycle, which means that the event must take place, but it will continue on until the event eventually tapers out at a later point in the game. Now we'll take a look inside the rulebook. It is a 20-page rulebook. On the inside of the front cover gives you the table of contents listing out all the rules and the associated page so you can easily find any rule that you need during gameplay. Introduction and objectives, components, game setup, how to set up your map, the event cards, the tech and event chits, resource counters, tracking counters, how those are all handled during the game. And then we get to the order of play, breaking down all the steps you'll be following during play on page 4. So about 16 pages of rules because it goes to page 20. Explains to you drawing your event cards. We've already looked at the event cards and the symbols, how those cause the card to be handled. Collecting resources, foreign debt, intimidation, other sources of revenue. And we have critical events that you'll be facing as leader of North Korea. You have natural disasters or revolutions, coup d'etat, and coalition offensives, just to name a few of the critical events you'll be facing. Issue threat or launch orders, offensive trigger check, hit or miss determination after you issue your launch order, adjust regional tensions, budget resources, and we have additional purges, and this is where you're going to be taking ministers of your cabinet out through purges to stop them from attempting a coup against you. As leader of the Hermit Kingdom, you're going to be facing a lot of threats, both externally as well as internally. Internally, you have a little bit more control over things. You could just purge these guys, and that's what this step does. You have capital investment, infrastructure investment, nuclear development, bribes, oppression, diplomacy, debt repayment, and then implementing your policies, which we just talked about, is on the next page. And then we get into resolving Russia-China relations, resolve your diplomacy, and resolving triggered events, coalition offensives, and then you reset the board, and we get to our scoring on page 15. So the rules start on page 4, but they finish on page 15. After 15, we get into an example of play. So only 11 pages of rules, not a lot of rules to digest. The text is very big, so easy to read. As you can see, it's not really dense rules. Gives you the example of play, which is nice because it'll walk you through all the steps. As you're reading along with the player aid, you can follow along and see how all these steps are handled in the game, because it seems like a very procedural game like you'd expect from a solitaire game of this type. And then we have, I missed it here, the designer commentary from Mike Molyneux, and that goes on for a couple pages. And then we are at the back of the rulebook. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Rogue State, a game designed by Mike Molyneux and published by Tiny Battle Publishing. This is a game that really intrigues me due to the fact that it's North Korea. Not much is known about North Korea. They're the great enigma in the East. And on top of that, very few games are made on North Korea, especially from the North Korean perspective. It's always from the outside looking in. This is the inside looking out, which makes it a very unique perspective. And being a solitaire game, it will be a lot of fun, I think, to play, because you're going to have to face a lot of challenges, like I said before, both externally as well as internally, as the supreme leader of North Korea. So really looking forward to getting this one on the table. I'll be sharing my thoughts with you on this in a review here pretty soon, so look forward to that as well. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. You have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.